now time for the Mike Wagner Show, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. The Mike Wagner Show brings you famous celebrities and amazing people from all over the world. Listen online at themikewagnershow.com and on Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. And watch the interview on YouTube. So sit back and relax and enjoy the Mike Wagner Show.
Hey everybody, it's Mike from the Mike Wagner Show, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. Look at a professional website without breaking your budget. Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs that blow the competition away. Call today at 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960. Or email to support@sonicwebstudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show. Get 10% off your first order. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level. Also, the Mike Wagner Show can be heard on the MikeWagnerShow.com. You can also check our Facebook page, Facebook.com/The Mike Wagner Show. Also, subscribe to our YouTube channel at The Mike Wagner Show on YouTube. Also, download and listen on Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Also, catch the Mike Wagner Show on any mobile device and take us with you wherever you go. And, of course, going on adventure as well, too, we have a very, very upcoming and wonderful gentleman from Mexico. He's a singer, songwriter since 9 years old. He debuted in 2012 with Bubblegum from Mad Sexy. He's won numerous Beat 100 awards in the UK, and he's just been traveling all over, and he's just resting up and just taking in all the glory as well, too. We'll be talking about some of his songs and a couple of his albums and what is next for this up-and-coming world sensation. Ladies and gentlemen, live from the beautiful beaches of Mexico, just chilling, or should we say just staying hot out there, the hottest singer in the planet today, Ian Guerin. Ian, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thanks for joining us today.
How are you, Mike? I'm so happy to be here at the show. It's a great day to have a lovely conversation about the album, the music, the weather, and just the summer as well, because life is about enjoying yourself.
Yes, that's right. And you've been doing this since you're 9 years old, singer-songwriter. You made your debut in 2012 with Bubblegum from Mad Sexy. You've gotten some rave reviews. You won numerous Beat 100 awards in the UK. You also got, you also had a debut album called Cry, and you are one of their first singles. And you also have a new album called Irreplaceable. Before we get into all that, tell us how exactly you got started, and from that point on.
Oh, well, I actually got started a few years, like a decade before I actually released the first album, Mad Sexy, in 2012. And before the debut single, Bubblegum, which was in around 2010, I'd been recording a lot of demo albums that from covers from the numerous artists like Britney Spears, Michael Jackson, some nationals like Gloria Trevi and Paulina Rubio right here. And that was before my voice changed. I had to record girl songs because my voice was really high-pitched. And the way it actually happened for me was that I was singing karaoke when I was, like, about to turn 10. I was 9. And I was at an aunt's house. Her name is Mitzi. And she was playing karaoke, and she said, okay, join in. And I joined in, and I started singing, and she said, oh, my sweetheart, you can really sing. We should do something about it. And I had sung, like, I'd sung before, but, like, at home when, you know, we're, like, playing, and I didn't really notice that it was a gift that I needed to exploit in a way or share with the world. And then she told me, you know what, we need to do something about this, and I'm going to give you a birthday present that you're never going to forget. And a few months after, she called me and she said, you know, get some tracks ready. She sent over some karaoke records. This was back in 2001.
Mm-hmm.
And she told me to get some tracks ready, and I did. And on Saturday morning, then she picked me up, and she took me to a studio, and she said, like, we're here. And I was like, where are we at? Because I was just a little kid, right? And she told... I didn't know, like, I saw, like, the control room and the booth, and I was like, okay, like, this looks, like, familiar, but I'd never actually seen one. And there was this producer called Jacobo Martinez who was going to record me at the time, and we did a demo album that day, and they just turned it in, and she said, "You sound so great. You just really need to like focus on doing this." And I was like, well, I'd never thought about like dedicating my life to music. But one thing that I can tell you, Mike, is once I hit the booth for the first number, like for the first song, I just felt right at home. Like I was nervous at first, and then when they turned it off and said, 1, 2, 3, and they kicked the track, and I was at another place right there. I just felt right where I needed to be, and I have ever since. And then I started, it went from there. I did that same process the next year for a second demo album. Then I did a Michael Jackson tribute album, and then my voice started changing. So while I wasn't all there vocally, I started writing songs. And I've said this in previous interviews that the first song that I wrote was "How Can I Explain It?" I think it's a terrible song. I still have it. I never recorded it professionally. I just demoed it. And then I started writing more songs. And I was in love with this chick who didn't want me back in elementary school, because that's when I got into elementary school. And I wrote more songs. So then, like 2 years after, I did a song called "One Chance," and that's the first one that I actually released. But it's been since taken down. So the official debut was Bubblegum, but it comes from like far behind me, before the release of Mad Sexy album. And once we heard Bubblegum, I actually think that the words for Bubblegum are not that good, but the beat is just hot, and so people started liking it, and I started getting a lot. There was this page called iSound, and I started to get a lot of messages, and people like, "You're really doing this, and you can really make it." And then I met this guy, this rapper, producer, singer, songwriter on Twitter, and he remixed the song, and they really everyone started pushing me to, yeah, you should do this professionally. And I never thought about it, but ever since the first time that I was in the booth at 9 years old, I knew I wanted to do it, but I hadn't gave it that much thought till that moment when Bubblegum was ready, and they told me, "You should release it on iTunes and Spotify and just give it a try." And I said, okay, well, this is it. I've never felt more comfortable in my life. The happiest moment of my life is when I finish writing a song and I, bounce it and hear it, put it on my iPhone and hear it. And I'm just so happy that this is my life now. And I'm so grateful that I can be now live enough of it, and that people are getting the message that I'm trying to get across. And especially that it's changing their lives as well, because it did change my life in a positive way, and it saved my life many times too, because the songs that are written are really from the heart. I've never liked feeling that that I'm writing a crafted song. I don't like writing songs thinking that they'll become hits. And I've had a lot of producers tell me, you need to write this big smash like Bohemian Rhapsody. And I'm like, I'm not sure, Freddie Mercury.
I'm sure Brian May can give you a push on that.
But I was like, they were just telling me this the other day, because they wanted me to write a song for this other singer. She's a girl, she's maybe 18 or 19. And her agent was telling me, you really need to go back and write this song like Bohemian Rhapsody, and if you know it's going to be that big, then that's the song we want. If you don't think that it's going to be as big, then maybe you should rewrite it. And I'm like, I'm not sure that Freddie Mercury thought that was going to be a big hit. I'm just thinking he was in the studio just doing what he wanted and thinking, whoa, this is weird, because it's a really weird song, right? But I never thought of my songs as weird. I just thought of them as an escapism to the things that I was going through. So, yeah, that's pretty much the story of how I work it through and how I became like Ian Guerin. And I love being myself. I had a hard time finding my sound and defining my style. But once I got into it, I thought, I used to be worried about not sounding as everybody else. Mm-hmm. And I heard songs in the radio, and I'm like, I'm not quite sure where I fit. But then I thought, well, if I don't sound like anybody else, then I'm probably, developing my style. And then, so I said in an interview a few days ago, I wanted to be Michael Jackson, and I ended up being Ian Guerin, and he fits me just fine.
It sounds like you got a place in music as well, too, just being you, and next thing you know it is that people are going to start basically just wanting to be you and copying. And you talked about the whole thing about, these songs that you wrote change your life. How did it exactly change your life? Just explain that one.
I think it gave me, that's a very good question. It just hit me right in the heart.
Mm-hmm.
I think, before I started writing music, I didn't have that big of a self-esteem.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like to think that I always say I don't like to think of it as having low self-esteem as much as not having one at all. I always tell people you can't have a low something if you don't know that you have it at all, or if you don't have it at all. And I don't think that I believed in myself in any regard of life. Like I didn't think that I could get a girl that I liked. I just thought, whoever else is interested in her, she'll pick him, right? Or I was never good at school. I was never good at math. The lowest grade I got was I don't know if there's something lesser than F, but I got 1.1, talking on a 1 to 10 scale.
Uh-huh.
And I was never good at school. I was always in trouble for not being interested in math or physics or, chemistry. And I was more interested in writing songs. And so I never got an achievement award of any kind at school. I never had the girl that I wanted, in elementary school or high school. So I grew up not really thinking that I could achieve anything. And once I started writing songs and having people hear them and thinking, oh, this is really nice. This is telling me something. I'm feeling something about my own life, right? I started thinking, oh, I'm good at this. And then I won my first award in 2014 for a song called Puff This Jam that I did with an Australian producer. And I won an award, and I got so excited. I just remember jumping. It was 3 a.m. in the morning when they sent me the email. And I was jumping in my room and thinking, wow, I finally achieved something in my life. So the way that it changed me is it gave me a self-esteem, and it gave me a sense of purpose of what I was going to do with my life. And it gave me the knowledge and I finally acknowledged that I could achieve things. And not only musically, it started shifting everything for me. I started thinking, oh, if I wanted that girl, I could just go and make a scene and then have them ask me to sing, and then I'll sing, and then I'll get her. And then, so you start, taking chances and getting things right. And you start building yourself and creating yourself and creating a self-esteem. So when I had that sense of purpose, I was no longer lost. So it became sort of my mission, I'm gonna write songs for people that are lost and that need to find themselves and that they need to find their way and that feel completely out and misunderstood. And they're not going to feel that way anymore because there's more people feeling like them. And that was me before. So yeah, it built me, and now I'm a very confident man today, and it's thanks to that. So music gave me that. Those songs gave me that.
That is amazing, too, and I was going to ask as well, too, and when you had this musical talent at the age of 9 as well, too, did your parents happen to notice you had this musical talent, or were you expecting to something else, like you mentioned about math, physics, or anything like that? And, what were the signs that they recognized that you had this talent?
I don't think they did. I don't think they did at all. My mom was an executive for Warner Lambert. My dad was had a publicity agency, and my dad says that I was humming the national anthem since I was 2.
Wow!
But they never encouraged the fact that I did it. They thought that I was going to go to college and have a normal career, and that I liked singing and dancing and performance arts, just on the side. And when I came over and said, Mom, you know what? I'm not feeling college. You know how it went in high school. Maybe this is it. They never told me no. They supported me, but they never encouraged me to do it. They weren't stage parents that took me to auditions. And I always joke around with my mom, and I'm because I see fellow artists who are my age and are on TV or coaches at The Voice, and I'm like, you see, Mom, if you'd been a stage mom and you'd exploited that talent, you would have made a living out of me, and I would be sitting right beside them. But you wanted me to have a normal life, and she was like, well, I didn't know, and you didn't tell me, and I was like, well, I didn't know either, right?
It's almost like a who knew. You never know what's going to surprise as well, too. And we'll talk about some of your music, including your latest, where you got some free time to do so. You listen to The Mike Wagner Show at themikewagnershow.com, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. Look at a professional website without breaking your budget. Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs that blow the competition away. Call today at 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960. Or email to support@sonicwebstudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show. Get 10% off your first order. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level. Also, the Mike Wagner Show can be heard on the MikeWagnerShow.com. Also, check our Facebook page, facebook.com/The Mike Wagner Show. You can download and listen on Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Also, watch the interview and subscribe to YouTube, The Mike Wagner Show, on the Mike Wagner Show channel on YouTube. You can also take The Mike Wagner Show on any mobile device. We're here with up-and-coming sensation from Mexico, Ian Guerin, singer-songwriter. Since 9 years old, he started to grow slowly but surely. He made his debut 2012 with Bubblegum for Mad Sexy, and he's also got some songs we'll talk about, like Free Time, Future New Life, Cry, Pop This Jam, and more. And let's talk about, I guess, your first single that came out, Cry, as well, too. You can also talk about that and throw in some other songs.
Cry is actually the first song that I wrote for the new album, for Irreplaceable. And it came out like 3 years before the album. And I actually did it because I had this advisor in LA who said, you should probably do a single. And I told him I'm not feeling the pop vibe that I was having on Mad Sexy as much as I thought. I don't want to be a pop like superstar. Like, I don't think it's my place. And he said, well, if you're going to do a crossover, do it now. You don't have this big audience that's going to ask you to remain the same. You don't have anyone to please but yourself. I believe that I don't have anyone to please, but the instinct that I feel in my heart about the music when I'm writing it. But I thought he was right. And so I started making like this demo of a beat in my home. And I figured, well, the songs that I gift girls, because I didn't have any money, and so I gifted them songs, the vibe of those songs are the ones that I like. And he said, well, this is actually very R&B-ish. And I said, okay, well, then that's what I want to do. And I started writing the beat, and then I didn't have any words or melodies to put on top of that. And I started looking for songs that I had written back in high school. And I read that line that said, I always knew if I lost you to die, and I'm losing you now, so I'm so terrified. And I remembered like having written that when I was like 16 or 15, and I said, whoa, this is a good line. Like, the song is really bad, but this line is good, so I'll take that and I'll put it into this new beat. And then I started writing the song. And Cry is actually very inspirational because people made it inspirational. That was the first song that I didn't hold as dear to my heart, lyrically speaking, but that people started like emailing me, you know what, this song is about my girlfriend and this song is about my boyfriend, and I read about, I felt it, and they started, people from the Philippines started sending me audios singing the song.
Nice.
And so people made it theirs, and I remember reading this, I'm reading this Tony Bennett book called Just Getting Started, and he's talking about I left my heart in San Francisco, and he says that a good song is written from longing and loneliness, and that the good songs of love leave a piece of it for the interpretation, so that people can insert their own story in it. And I think Cry does that, especially because I didn't like explain the whole story like I did, like very specifically on other songs from the album, like Roll the Dice or Feature in Your Life or Chapter 2, which are very explanatory. This one was open and it was out there, so people could interpret it and make it their own. And I think it was because of that, because I wasn't feeling, like I had to tell the story just as it was, just like the sense of it. And so after Cry, I wrote Free Time, and I remember writing Free Time. One day I was in my house, and I was thinking about this girl that I dated that had blown me off, and I started thinking, wow, I can't stop thinking about her, and then I thought, well, I don't know what she does with her free time, but I can't certainly stop thinking about her. And I said, whoa, there's a song in there. And so I started saying, like, I don't know what you do with your free time, but I think about you, And then I wrote that hook and just told the story of what we went through. And she happens to live like 2 houses from mine. So that's when you hear, I thought every line just in case I run into you. And that's because, there are big chances that I run into her constantly. And so everything started coming back, all those experiences, and that's how I wrote most of the songs from the album. So I call it a cleansing experience. I think that future albums will be like more fun and, just like upbeat and light. But this one had to be like the cleansing experience of it all. And that's one of the things that I like about it. And that's why the main, the title track, Irreplaceable, is like a compilation of all those stories. And it's a big letter to all of them. So it's written in plural, and asking them, and the heavy hearts, has your love about, no, and you have like, when I ask her if she actually found the one you claim deserved you, I can clearly see you lived after me. But if you're all right, where the teary eyes, and it's a letter to all of them. And if you go to the second verse, you can actually see a list of gifts that I gifted them. And I put them there like the candy in your mailbox, a handbag on your birthday. So all of the songs I think that are very country-like written, even though they're R&B pop. Uh-huh. And they're all letters. They're all letters to them. Like they're really explanatory letters.
Wow, it sounds like you infuse country and R&B and Olivia style into one song and some of your albums as well too. That is amazing. I've never heard anyone do something like that.
Thank you so much. I think it's amazing too, and I just the best feeling about it, aside from the music, is the fact that people actually think of themselves as the author of those songs. Like, people come to me and they say, I think you wrote this song for me. I know you don't know me, but I think you wrote it for me. And I like that feeling because when I hear a Mariah Carey song, for example, or a Prince song, I feel that they wrote that for me. Uh-huh. So when I have people tell me that, it's like, okay, Mariah and Prince did very well, and if you're getting the same feeling that I get with them, then I'm probably doing it well as well.
Oh, right. That is something too. And of course, if you were to put out another album, what style would you have it as? The same you're doing, or you're looking to go in another direction of genre?
I think I've been writing some music for future albums because I don't like to have the pressure of putting together an album when we need to. And I just think, well, if it blows up really quick, then I'm not going to have time to do it, so I best do it when I can, like, consciously put the best of it. Like, Irreplaceable was made with all the time in the world and with all the patience and with all the love. I had no pressure. And if I did that, and I'm doing it now, I think I've been orienting towards like disco R&B. Like I'd like to do something with disco R&B. There's this singer called Mario Biondi, and there's all the disco music from the 70s, and I just really like that vibe where you actually have a substantial song lyrically speaking, but you also have a beat that you can dance to, and I like that. I like that mix of both things and of those both worlds. So I think that I would go like 70s disco. Even though some reviewers have told me that this album sounds a little bit like that, but I'd like to make it beatier
Mm-hmm. It sounds like you can make a comeback with disco just by putting that out, and some people have tried it, some fail, but I think the way you've got it infused as well, too, you could start another comeback with disco as well, too, and who knows, you could start another Bohemian type of Rhapsody, too, just like Freddie Mercury.
Yeah, I think that could happen. Like, I don't think that any of the artists that wrote the classics of Yesterday, Today, and Forever thought that they were going to be that big. I actually I read a lot of interviews. I like reading their stories, so to see how they made it.
Uh-huh.
And I actually always see them saying, this song, we were going to take it out of the album, and then someone told us, just leave it there as a bonus track, and then it became the hugest hit, So I think that it can make a comeback, but especially not just disco music, but real music as well. I think that the artists that are keeping the music as real music have a real responsibility to keep on doing that. And I don't know if I'm explaining myself, but what I mean by this is music is not all the trendy sounds, that we hear in the radio.
Right, like in Top 40.
Yeah, like in Top 40, and I think that those trends, they go away, and some of the artists go away with it because they don't have the timeless element. And I've talked about this plenty of times, but I think it's important. And I think Bruno Mars does it. I think Lady Gaga does it. I think that there's a couple of artists that still do that and try to insert the timeless element. And we have a responsibility. Like, it's not all synthesizers and, hip-hop crafted beats and,
right.
It's not for the moment. It's for a song has to be forever. And I think that going with the trend, some of the artists, and I'm not judging them, everyone's free to do their style, but they want the instant fame, and they want the instant numbers and the viral effect, and they miss on the chance of doing something that sounds different just because a trend works better for the business. And I don't want to do that. I want to keep music alive. Like my cousin, he's a drummer, and he says, we drummers are at risk of extinction.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to need us anymore. And I told him, well, we have this responsibility to keep the music alive and to keep music real, with real instruments, with real guitars, because it's so cool when you go to a concert and you just listen to the band play. And you can really hear it, and you hear the difference between the album and the live version. It's just magic, and people need, and the new generation especially, they need to live that experience. Mm-hmm. And if we do those pre-recorded and pre-crafted, beats and stuff that you can't play live, then the future generations are never going to have a live experience. They're never going to hear a drums live. They're never going to hear a guitar solo live. They're never going to know how that feeling feels when you're out there. Mm-hmm. And it's important because music keeps you alive. Well, I don't think that there's anyone in the world who doesn't like music, mm-hmm. but it heals you. So
exactly, that's a really good proponent as well too. And of course, just another couple of things as well too. You talked about going to concerts, watching real instruments, real people, and real music and everything. Who have you gone to see in concert, and which was the most impressive to you?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, I never went to see Michael Jackson because I was going to go see him at the London shows for This Is It. But, well, we all know how that went.
Right.
And,
no need to go into detail, I'll tell you that.
Yeah. And I didn't see Prince because when he was in Vegas and I was in Vegas, he was at a club and I needed to be 21 or over, and I was 20, so I couldn't go in. My dad said, well, you can't go in. I'm sorry. I brought you. You can't go in. But the ones that I like the most, I think, and this is not the music that I hear, but one of the most impressive concerts that I've seen, and and the showmanship of the frontman was Guns N' Roses with Axl Rose.
Oh, yes. They put on a great show, I'll tell you that. And I talked to people who go to Guns N' Roses. They came away very impressed, not disappointed.
Yeah, he is really a true performer. I saw him twice. one year because my cousin had a few tickets left, and she invited me those 2 times.
Nice.
And the first time, Axl Rose had his leg broken, so he was sitting on a throne, like in front of the drums, and he sat the whole time on this huge purple throne with like crosses and beats and all the paraphernalia that you could have on a chair. He had it. And then they lifted him up to take him to the piano, and then they put him back in the throne. And he was a little overweight, and he was with his leg up all the time, like in a cast. But still, he moved. It was like 40,000 people there.
Wow.
And he was just moving us all around like we were like little ants and doing what he said. And he was sitting in a chair. And that's the second most impressive. And the first one, it has to be the Rolling Stones with Mick Jagger.
Yes, I remember that.
It was incredible. My mom took me to see them, and Mick Jagger is, to me, the best. I never saw Queen, though, because, I was very little when Freddie Mercury passed. Mm-hmm. But those are the 2 most impressive. And then there's Mariah. But the concert, I've seen her twice, and I think that the one that I liked the most was the one from The Adventures of Mimi, when she could hit all the high notes and stuff. And she was just like so light, and it was such a different experience from Guns N' Roses or the Rolling Stones, because she was just calm and collected all the time. Like, she didn't even sweat. But it was a different experience. And I saw Janet Jackson too. She was very impressive, but she just dances her behind off all the time, and it's really cool. So those are the best that I've seen. And Cher, because Cher was funny. I saw her in Vegas too, and she was really, really funny, like especially her monologues. So those are the ones that I keep the fondest to my heart.
That is amazing, and seeing all these great performers as well, too. I thought about that Axl Rose was trying to be Elton John at the piano and getting a leg up, and trying to do Crocodile Rock and all the classics as well. And you talked about Bohemian Rhapsody and wanting to see Queen. Have you seen the movie, and what were your thoughts on it?
I actually haven't seen the movie, so I wouldn't like to say much about it. I know people liked it a lot, but I haven't gotten a chance to see it. And I know I should, but I've been putting it off for some time now.
Well, you got some free time to do that as well, too. And we'll get to a few more as well, too, as summary influences as well. You listen to The Mike Wagner Show at themikewagnershow.com, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. Look at a professional website without breaking your budget. Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs that blow the competition away. Call today at 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960. Or email to support at sonicwebstudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show. Get 10% off your first order. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level. Also, the Mike Wagner Show can be heard on the MikeWagnerShow.com. Also, follow us on Facebook, Facebook.com/The Mike Wagner Show. You can download and listen on SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Also, watch the interview on YouTube and subscribe to The Mike Wagner Show on YouTube and take The Mike Wagner Show with you on any mobile device. We're here with soon-to-be worldwide sensation Ian Guerin, who's won numerous Beat 100 awards in the UK. He's also quite a number of singles out, including Cry, which hit the top 10 on one of the charts, and he's got the newest out, Free Time, also featured in Your Life, Pop This Jam, and quite others as well, too. He's been doing this since 9 years old and just took it to next level recently as well, too. And, of course, I was going to ask you about, Bubblegum as well, too, and, having the title Mad Sexy. How'd you come up with that title?
The title "Mad Sexy" is like a drift, separate. I wanted to do something. I'd seen this record from Prince called "Love Sexy," and I just remember hearing it and thinking, "Wow, this is such a great album, Love Sexy." I don't like that title, so if I had a record, I'd call it "Mad Sexy" because that's how I feel that this music should sound like. So when I put out the album, when I was making the album, actually, I thought, well, I'm going to name my album Mad Sexy because that's how I want to feel. And this is, going back a little bit to the thing about self-esteem that I was talking about moments before. I I thought to myself, wow, this is what I want to feel, and this is how I want to feel, and I want to feel like that music made me feel. So I'm gonna make this album, and I'm gonna call it Mad Sexy. I'm gonna do that title justice. And then I thought, well, and my sister said, well, it's got to have a concept behind it, and what's it going to be? And I said, well, Mad Sexy is just how you wear yourself, man.
That is amazing, too. And, of course, you won 9 Beat 100 awards, United Kingdom, Academy Award for Best R&B Soul Song for the single Cry, and also topped the Beat 100 World Chart 3 times with Pop This Jam, Free Time, Roll the Dice. And also, too, I want to ask you as well, too, we mentioned about Cry and saw on your website that hit number 7 on one of the charts. And what are some of your singles that charted like in the top 10, top 20, or even like top 30 and top 40? How high to get? And what are some of the songs that got the most hits on YouTube and social media?
The songs that went high on the charts were definitely Free Time. That's the most successful song to date, I believe, even though there's like songs that are yet to prove themselves from the Mad Sexy album, which is one of them is I Heart, which I think is a very fun song, and I didn't like it before, but I listen to it now and think, well, it's not what I wanted to sound like, but it sounds good, and I like it. It's a very freeing, happy vibe song. But the ones that did the greatest were Free Time, Roll the Dice, Cry. Roll the Dice actually went to number 1. Pop This Jam went to number 1 too, even though that's just available in remixes because there was a rights issue with the producer from Australia. And then we had A Different Affair, which also got great reviews and made the top 20 on the Beat 100. And then I was going to say For the Holidays, which is my Christmas song, but no, it didn't go as well.
Wait till Christmas time and try it again. So,
yeah, that's a good part about Christmas songs, that you can just give it a shot every year. And the ones that have done this on like YouTube view wise and stream wise are Free Time, Cry. This song from the new album called The Place, which I actually really like because it's the jazziest of them all, and it has like piano runs that are really, really to die for when you're at the beach, having a beer. I love that song, and it's very meaningful. All the things that I say there are the truth, and so those are the ones that have ranked the best. On YouTube, it's probably Free Time and Roll the Dice and Cry because they all have music videos. The music video for Our Heart did well. But on Spotify, the highest ranking is Feature in Your Life, just because I think that that's one hell of a flowy song, and I don't think that there's like a song so breezy and so laid back out there right now as Feature in Your Life. And I know that's saying too much because there are really great songs out, and there are a lot of them, but Feature in Your Life is definitely the one that's been doing the best on Spotify, and I think it's because, it's just so easy to get and so breezy. You just hear it and you're like, yeah, well, everything's been going so and so, but I feel better, and everyone can relate to the words. Like, when you say, hey, you don't sometimes feel like you left everything to a real bad deal, trade up good love for a part-time crush, tell me you believe all good it goes, We've all been there, so that's the one that's been doing the greatest, even on iTunes too, because I think that people relate to that opening line because we've all been there, when you gave your all and get little to none. So, and especially the vibe of the arrangement. So those are a few. I love all my songs. Like, there's not one song of mine that I think like, oh, well, whatever,
Right.
There's meaning behind them.
Mm-hmm. That is amazing, too. You talked about your favorite artists and your biggest influence and everything. And of all the work you've done, what do you consider your favorite project and the most challenging?
My favorite project, well, that's a good one. I think that it has to be irreplaceable, and I don't like it when all the artists. I used to not like when I heard artists say that they have that their most favorite project was the newest. But now that I have a new album now, I can get why they were saying it. I think it's irreplaceable just because I got to say everything that I wanted to say exactly the way I wanted to say it, and it sounded exactly how I wanted it to sound. It's as a whole, and as a body of work, the best that I've done. Like narratively, lyrically, melodically, musically. I just love it, love it, love it. It's the one piece of work that I hear the most from me, especially featuring your life in free time. And I think that's the one that I'm most proud of, and it's definitely my favorite till now. And I got some unreleased songs that I really, really do like also a lot. But this has to be the best, because I just feel like it's so me and so my own heart in it.
That is amazing too. And what do you consider the most challenging?
The most challenging. Okay. Oh, I missed that part of the question.
It's okay.
The most challenging. I don't know. I don't. It's an interesting question because I don't know what you really mean by challenging. Like, as in the most complicated to make.
It can be that. It could also be emotional. It could be like physical or anything like that. It's like, something you struggled with, but then you managed to get it done. It can also be technical as well, too. So everybody's got their own interpretation of it.
Oh, well, that'd have to be then the last song from the new album, from Irreplaceable, You Made Me a Sinner, because of all of those high notes. The hook is really high, and it has a lot of cuts, breath cuts in between. So that has to be the most challenging to sing live, definitely, and to make and to record overall. It was technically, musically, lyrically hard to make. But I like it a lot, and people should give it a shot too. They're going to go over the record on Irreplaceable, track 10, You Made Me a Sinner. And it's also a good song because I talk about, I talk about how it's this good, nice, sweet, tender man, and then I got my heart broken so many times that I became a sinner.
Okay. All right. It sounds like you're breaking up a little bit, but we got a few minutes here with Ian Guerin, singer-songwriter, who's got songs Free Time featured in your life from the Irreplaceable EP as well, too, and talking about others and just a few more here before, we let you go. And you've been fantastic. We know you're a very busy guy. Who do you consider your biggest influence in your career?
That has to be definitely and hands down Michael Jackson. He changed my life the first time I saw him, and I heard him, and I remember in Times Square when he was there for the promotion of his album, and we just saw him on a big screen, like blocks and blocks away, outside the Virgin Megastore, and his hair was blowing, and he was wearing this blue suit, and I was really little, and I remember telling my dad, I want to be like that man, like not like that, but I want to be like him. And I just remember it changed everything from his music, the way he produces his music, sings it, writes it, everything, the quality of his mixing and mastering. And I just love him. In that order, it would be Michael Jackson, then Prince, then Tony Bennett, and then Mariah Carey. And I know I missed Tony Bennett when you asked me about the concerts. Tony Bennett is one of the biggest concerts that I've seen. He was amazing, just a light, a piano, him, and he just fills the room. That Mr. Tony Bennett is godlike to me. But the biggest influence has to be Michael. Michael is forever.
Yes, and Michael forever indeed, amazing. And what's the best advice you can give to anybody at this point?
Don't listen to people that tell you that you can't do it and that you need to have a plan B. I wouldn't listen to those people at all. There's a lot of people who always, when you're at a certain stage of your career where you're not making any money and you're starting to get hurt, that it's, it's a struggle. And I get a lot of people who told me, even from family, in my own family, who told me, well, you should, consider a plan B and, why don't you try this instead of that? I don't know if you're going to do it. There was this one person, I'm not going to say the name, and he told me, you know what, you're not Justin Bieber. And I was like, no, I'm definitely not Justin Bieber, nor am I trying to be Justin Bieber.
Who wants to, really?
Exactly. But, and so people tell you a lot of stuff, but I think that my sister always says that people, when people give advice, 90% of the times they're just speaking their own insecurities and projecting them onto you. So if I could give any fellow artist any advice, would be don't listen to the people who tell you that you need other options, that you should not try to do something. If someone tells you to try to do something that you want to do, then listen to that. If they tell you, I'd say listen to the do's, not to the don'ts, and remember that you are going to make it if you really, really, truly have a chop to do it and believe in yourself. Because if you don't believe in yourself, no one ever will. And people don't believe in themselves, so and my sister tells me that too. Like, how do you expect them to believe in you if they don't believe in themselves? So I would tell them never ever to listen to people who tell them that they can't do it and who tell them that they should have a plan B. I remember Van Morrison saying he has an album called Born to Sing, No Plan B, and my father loves Van Morrison, so I listened to Van with my dad. And I think that's a great album title because Born to Sing, No Plan B. If you have a plan B, then you're setting yourself to fail.
Right.
And I have never set myself to fail, so I don't need a plan B. I need a plan A, A2, A3, A4, which is, I always picture it as having a cup. You have this cup, and you want to go inside, so you can either go from the top, from the bottom, from the side, from the other side, diagonally. The way you enter the cup doesn't matter.
Right.
But you want to get in. You're not going to jump into another cup. You want to go in there. So that's the difference between having several plans A and a plan B. I would say have several plan A's, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but all A, all to the same goal.
I love that. I'm going to put that into my memory bank and right up there. That is fantastic. And Ian, I just want to say thank you very much. You've been fantastic. We wish you all the best. And for future projects, and speaking of future projects, tell us about your upcoming projects. What are your plans? What's your website? And how do people contact you? And how do people purchase your music?
Okay, well, my future projects are, of course, playing live, doing more press, doing more interviews, getting the word out there for the new album, which, again, is irreplaceable. You can find it on iTunes, Spotify, Amazon Music, Tidal, all streaming platforms, all streaming services, YouTube. It's everywhere. Just type in Ian Guerin. Ian Guerin. Guerin is Guerin. Ian Guerin, irreplaceable. You can find it anywhere, and the future plans are just to promote it with a lot of interviews and especially playing live. I'd love to put on a live show, and we're working on that right now. That's what I'm doing as of now, just preparing to play live because, as I told you before, the live experience is like nothing in this world, and I want to live up to that expectation. And, I've seen the greatest in concerts, and I want to be a part of that hall, if you can call it, like a hall of fame of live performers that are great. I'd like to be a part of that. So I'm preparing a live show. I want it to be the Irreplaceable World Tour. I don't know how worldly it's going to get, but the universe is going to take me where I need to be. So I'm just expecting the best because the best is yet to come. And on social media, people can find me on Instagram as I am Ian Guerin, Twitter, I am Ian Guerin, and Facebook / I am Ian Guerin, or just Ian Guerin. And that's where everyone can find me, and I'm fun in social media. You'll have a great time. And especially listen to the album, Spotify, iTunes, Apple Music, Tidal, Amazon, Google Play. These are everywhere you want it. Just type in my name, Ian Guerin, and you'll find me there, and I'll see you at social media, guys, everywhere. I love to have new people and write me back all the time. I hear this show all the time where the host says, and if I get something wrong, feel free to cuss me out. So, on social media, if you don't like something, just feel free to cuss me out. And I'll wait for everyone at I am Ian Guerin, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook.
Sounds good. Okay, I've got that all written down, Ian. Just want to say thank you very much for your time. You've been fantastic. I know you got free time on your hands, but got a lot of things to take care of. Look forward to have you on again soon. And please do us a favor. Keep us up to date. We'd love to have you on back again.
Thank you so much. It'll be a pleasure.
Thanks for listening to The Mike Wagner Show, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. Listen online at themikewagnershow.com and on Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. And watch the interview on YouTube. Also, become a sponsor of the program and or donate today at themikewagnershow.com. Join us again tomorrow for another episode of The Mike Wagner Show.